Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Relevant Jukebox, and today we're going to talk about the latest album from Tyler, the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost. So this is the 6th full-length studio album from the producer, rapper, fashion designer, and director, Tyler, the Creator, who nobody needs an introduction to at this point. However, I will say, since the release of Flower Boy, he has gone through a pretty noticeable transformation and growth period on his last full-length albums, releasing some of, if not the best material of his career to date, all while reinventing his image on record to record in this Bowie-esque way, and that continues on Call Me If You Get Lost. The visuals and aesthetic of this album cycle kind of remind me of like the bold and in-your-face style of like Quentin Tarantino mixed with the very colorful and quirky organization of like a Wes Anderson. And that aesthetic I feel like is reflected in the production on this project as well, as he takes you through a very detailed journey. Also, he seems to be pretty inspired by the output of artists on the Griselda Records roster as well, with a lot of those rumbling pianos and his selection for soul and jazz samples that sound like they could have been lifted from like an exploitation film of the 70s, like on the tracks Lumberjack or Sir Baudelaire or Hot Wind Blows and Massa, just for a few examples. They all just feel like they have this like Griselda influence kind of hanging over them, but this still very much feels like a Tyler project, as his footprint is all over it with those signature chord progressions and those kind of weird, quirky intros and outros that he likes to work in. And also his rapping on here, which is done in a little bit more of a braggadocious way than it has been before, but it feels like it calls back to his Goblin days. I love the way that the project kicks off with the very hazy intro track Sir Baudelaire, as we're introduced to this new character, Tyler Baudelaire. And then you're hit with just 4 straight bangers, one after another, with Lemonhead being a pretty big standout for me. The beat is just absolutely insane, and it's carried by these like raging horn sections that he likes to use, and these really heavy bass and drum kicks that just propel everything forward in a very kaleidoscopic way and are just so punchy. Also, speaking of pushing forward, I did really like the flow of the project as well. I thought it was sequenced in a great way, and that sequencing just becomes a bigger part of the listening experience, as a lot of these tracks aren't structured in a traditional way whatsoever. Take the track Sweet, I Thought You Wanted to Dance, for example. It's this like 9.5-minute long marathon track right towards the middle of the album, and it could have been separated into 2 separate tracks, honestly, but overall, as one standalone piece, it just didn't really work for me in any way, actually. It kicks off in a nice way with this like soulful groove, but I don't know, I just wasn't really crazy about the guest vocal performance, and then the whole song transitions into like a dub reggae section, which just does not work for me at all. I mean, the whole thing just kind of sounds off, in my opinion. Not really in like an endearing or quirky way either. And then you have the track Wilshire, which is right towards the end, which is another almost 9-minute long track, and it's a confessional moment on the record where a lot of that bragging and cocky attitude is turned on its head. He's still reeling over the loss of a lover. Now, I do appreciate what this track does for the narrative of the project. It does tie it up pretty nicely, but it really just meanders instrumentally for like 8 minutes and just kind of like stales out. But overall, I think Tyler outdid himself once again on this project here. The production is absolutely insane, as I was expecting from him, but he's also like grown so much and improved on all the ideas that he's brought to the table up until this point. All of the features on here are really great as well, except I did really get tired of DJ Drama like all over this thing. I did like how he shows up and he's kind of like hosting the album, but honestly, he's just all over it. It's way too much and becomes really distracting. And I feel like this Tyler project has more replay value for me. I mean, even being a pretty big fan of him overall, each project I usually get a little bit burnt out from the vibe, but that just kind of hasn't been the case so far with this project for me. I mean, it hits different, and it's pretty clear he's still at the top of his game. And with that being said, I'm feeling an 8.5 over here on Call Me If You Get Lost. So for all you collectors out there, I did look over on Tyler's website. There's no vinyl that's been released just yet, but I imagine there will be, so just keep your eyes peeled. And if you have listened to this new Tyler album already, let me know what you thought about it in the comments section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and share, and if you want more content from me, hit that subscribe button. Peace.